English with BILLIEBUG. Modal verbs, past probability, another interesting subject. We use modal verbs of probability when we speculate, assume, or guess at facts. Modal verbs used are can, could, may, might, shall, should, will, would, and must. Other verbs used as modal verbs are have to, want to, and need to. We use modals of probability when we refer to a fact in the past, present, and future. Generally, modals of probability are taught at the intermediate level of English. Based on a student's English level when studying English for a second time, modals of probability might be taught at lower levels of English. This all depends on a student's ability to understand the tense system in its entirety with confidence. The use of the tense system as well as adverbs play a major role in the use of modal verbs of probability. Modal verbs of probability used with the verbs be and get are used to refer to the present and future. There are a few important keys to fully understand modals of probability in the past. Those keys are the usage of the present perfect and adverbs, as well as participle to or the third form of a verb. An example of a past fact might be, she has been to work recently. This is a fact in the past without a specific time reference. Of course, present perfect is used a number of ways with one clear distinction from past simple and past continuous. Generally, when we use present perfect, exact time references are not used or are not important. Understanding the present perfect is a must to fully understand modals of probability in the past. This is one important element. However, with a combination of modals and present perfect, we can refer to a specific time in the past as speculation. Time for a short. What's a short? A grammar fact. What's an adverb? An adverb modifies or describes a verb, an adjective, or an adverb. In other words, we sometimes use modals of probability with present perfect to refer to a possible fact in the past without being absolutely positive the event took place. In other words, we speculate, assume, or guess at what occurred in the past. Examples might be may have, short form would be may have, might have, might have, could have, could have. These are all examples of an event in the past that we're not absolutely sure about. May, might, and could in the following examples are fully interchangeable. She might have worked yesterday, I'm not sure. She may have worked yesterday, I'm not sure. She could have worked yesterday, I'm not sure. In all three examples, these three modal verbs have the same meaning. One simple method that can be used to teach this grammar is bridging. This is a method I've used for years while teaching English. Bridging is when we teach a higher level grammar element using a comparison in grammar at a lower level. We can also use it to compare and instruct grammar at the same level of English. The main idea here is to compare known and understood grammar to something new. This is where the usage of adverbs takes an important role in teaching methodology. Adverbs of probability are used the same way as modals of probability. For instance, here's a question and answer comparing both parts of grammar. Here's a question. Was Sally at work yesterday? An answer might be maybe. Maybe she was at work. I don't know. A second response could be she could have been at work. I don't know. In the first response, I used an adverb of probability to express a possibility. In the second example, I used a modal verb with present perfect to express the same opinion. Neither are facts. The statements made are simply speculation or guess based on my thoughts and opinion. My answers are speculative without being absolutely sure. Remember that the use of adverbs play an important role in the English language. Have fun with English.
Bill, time for dinner.
Yes, dear.
Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel.